Rise from the Siegel Center. Final non-conference game of the year for VCU as they look to extend their winning streak to 4 wins in a row as they take on the midshipmen of Navy. We welcome you courtside here at the Siegel Center. I'm Sean Robertson. Good to be joined with John Feinstein. It's been a long time since VCU and Navy have met, over 40 years, and an interesting matchup for VCU before A-10 play begins next Saturday.
This is a very tough team mentally that they're playing tonight. Navy has to be in order to be competitive. They're not going to be bigger than you. They're not going to be quicker or faster, but they play very smart, hard basketball, and you've got to play smart, hard basketball if you're going to beat them.
And for our players to watch, we start with Navy and Mr. Everything for Navy, and we're talking about Tyler Nelson.
Tyler Nelson has really come into his own this year as a senior. Navy lost 3 key players off of their team from last year, and Tyler Nelson has had to step into the role of leader, rebounder, shooter, scorer. I think he runs the popcorn machine at games at Alumni Hall. He does everything for them.
And for VCU?
Well, Jamir Watkins was just outstanding against Northern Illinois last Saturday. Career high 22 points, of course, coming off that lost season, and he's just gotten better and better as the season has progressed. And Mike Rhodes is really optimistic about what he's going to get out of him once conference play starts.
And now for our CarMax keys to the game, we start with Navy.
Well, Navy's got to make 3-point shots. They're not going to beat you inside, so they've got to make 3-point shots. They've got to get good 3-point shots, find open shots, and they cannot allow VCU, which is a very good offensive rebounding team, to beat them on the boards with that quickness that they have.
And for VCU?
For VCU, I asked Mike Rhodes, he said turnovers, 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 turnovers. And so start there. They've been a team that's improved a little bit, not turning the ball over, but they need to improve more. And also, Ace Baldwin has to be Ace Baldwin. Other coaches describe him as the engineer, the leader, the machine that makes the car go. However you describe him, he's the man.
Is Navy and VCU from the Siegel Center, and is yours next on Masson and on ESPN+. And Navy, final non-conference matchup for both teams, and we'll start with Navy's starting 5. Austin Bonini will be in the backcourt along with Sean Yoder and Christian Jones. Tyler Nelson, Navy's leading scorer, along with Daniel Deaver, are their starting 5. For VCU starting 5, Ace Baldwin with Jayden Nunn, Jamir Watkins, who's coming off of a career-high 22-point performance against Northern Illinois, followed by Jalen DeLoach and Brandon Johns Jr. Missed the game against Northern Iowa last week due to an injured back, but he is in the starting lineup this evening for VCU as they control the opening tip. John Feinstein. Brandon Johns lost it in the air, controlled by Navy. Bonini now has it for the midshipmen. Here's Nelson right to the rim for a strong finish.
And there's no excuse defensively for that. There was no help at all, and he looked like a running back with a big hole going to the basket.
Averaging almost 13 points per night, has given Navy an early lead. Here's Watkins trying to split the double team, stolen by Christian Jones of Navy.
Good double team there by the mids out of that zone. And one of the key guys to watch, we talked about their do-all player, Tyler Nelson, but you got to keep an eye on Austin Bonini, who's a freshman playing the point and having to face this VCU pressure.
He is one of Navy's freshmen that has seen a lot of time so far in the non-conference portion of their schedule, averaging over 20 minutes a night for Navy and averaging almost 8 points per game.
And I think his minutes will go up as the season goes along, as he gets more and more experience.
He has the assignment against Ace Baldwin here. Shot clock is close to 10. Bonini with the floater. The rebound to DeLoach.
Well, in that time, there was help.
Just over a minute gone by here in the first half. Down low to Johns. Nice move. Ball is loose, and Deaver has it for Navy.
Didn't finish there, Johns, but obviously VCU glad to see him back healthy. Didn't play against Northern Illinois because of back spasms. Ready to go tonight.
Nelson against Johns. Deaver has it against DeLoach. Deaver, nice up fake and scores.
That was a nice fake. And again, that gets back to what we were talking about with the way Navy plays. They just play smart, tough basketball. You better be ready for that. You better be ready for good shot fakes and smart double teams and things like that, because they're going to happen.
Mike Rose used the term around shoot-around, efficient. They're very efficient.
You can beat them athletically. You're not going to beat them by making mistakes.
Johns from the free throw line. Long rebound to Navy. Yoder has it over to Benini.
And Yoder there with a classic old-fashioned box out on defense.
And Navy's out to a 7-0 lead and gets Mike Rhodes to burn a timeout.
That's as early as you will see Mike Rhodes take a timeout. And he is obviously not pleased with what he's seen from his team. Navy has gotten open shots, and what do we talk about in the open? Don't let them get open shots if you're going to win the game for VCU. And clearly, VCU having trouble with that zone. There was one good interior pass from Ace Baldwin to Johns, but he wasn't able to finish.
Navy's head coach, Ed DeChellis, the current Patriot League Coach of the Year in his 12th season at Navy. He's also had time at Penn State as well.
And his alma mater, East Tennessee State. 27th year as a head coach. And, you know, his Penn State team had just gone to the NCAA tournament when Billy Lang left Navy, surprisingly. And Ed basically went to Chet Gladchuk, the AD, and said, I want to do something to help, to serve my country. Not in a military way, obviously. And he thought he took over a program that was in shambles. Took them till the 5th year to get respectable, and now they're solid every year. Heck of a coach.
Mike Rose in his 6th season for VCU is staring at a 7-0 deficit as Daniel Shriver comes in and misfires on the three. That was halfway down. That would have been a good start for him in the game, but right now Navy in control, leading 7-0. Here's Christian Jones, a little bit out of control, out of bounds, back to VCU.
I was going to say he was lucky that he didn't lose the ball there, but he did. Got it up off the backboard, but that was one of those shots coaches call turnovers.
Christian Jones, the senior from out of Bowie, Maryland. VCU trailing 7-0 early on. Here's Baldwin over to Nunn. Watkins has it with 10 to shoot, and now will shoot for 3. Long rebound to Yoder for Navy.
One and done every time for VCU so far.
Here is Nelson, who has 5 of the Navy's 7 points.
Devers is an outstanding passer. He leads the team in assists, playing center at 6'8".
Good ball movement by Navy. Shot clock is close to 10, and Yoder draws a foul on VCU.
See if that's a shooting foul or on the floor. It's close.
It's going to go against Ace Baldwin. And it is a 2-shot foul going to Sean Yoder, the senior from Dublin, Pennsylvania.
And that's a bonus for Navy because they almost never get to the free throw line.
As we look at the background history of Navy, located in Annapolis, founded in 1845 with an enrollment of 4,400 midshipmen.
Cadets are Army and Air
Yes.
Force.
I stopped myself. I said the
You did. You caught yourself.
And of course, obviously, the most notable basketball player, David Robinson.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Just not too bad.
He was 6'7" when he got to Navy. Not recruited at all, but got into Navy because he was an excellent student. His dad was a Navy engineer. And by his sophomore year, he was 7'1", and we all know the rest. That was a walk. Good call. Rainey Steins with that call.
As Yoder made both free throws, and it's already 9-0. Navy out in front.
Obviously, as a visiting team in this building, it's exactly the kind of start you want, because when you start that way, you take the crowd out of the game. And keeping the crowd out of the game is vital for any visiting team in the Siegel Center.
VCU 0 for 4 to start the game. Navy off to a 3 out of 5 shooting start. Here's Yoder going coast to coast with the left hand.
He surprised the VCU defense. They were waiting for him to pull up and pass the ball, and he just kept going because nobody stopped the ball.
11-0 run to start the game for Navy on the road. DeLoach down low, breaks that scoring drought.
And getting that first basket is so critical when you're struggling at the start of a game because it kind of loosens things up and you go, oh, okay, yeah, there is a basket.
DeLoach averaging 9 a night for VCU and head coach Mike Rose as Navy leads by 9. Benini now has it to Deaver. Shot clock is at 5. Deaver had his shot blocked.
Good defense. You better get it right up.
And Jones lost it out of bounds.
They would have only had 1 second on the clock anyway. Good defense there by the Rams.
Brings us to our first media timeout. Navy on the road, leading by 9 here on Masson and on ESPN Plus. Right here at the Siegel Center, a stunned crowd early on as Navy has come from Annapolis and has taken control early on as they lead 11-2 over the homestanding Rams. Sean Robertson along with John Feinstein, and the midshipmen shooting 57% from the field early on.
Well, and I think they've surprised VCU by attacking the basket. I think VCU was looking for them to shoot a lot of threes. They will before the night's over. But they've come out attacking the basket. Their zone has given VCU issues. That Jalen DeLoach finally made that layup on the last possession, and then they did get a turnover. So see if VCU can get something going here.
Baldwin along with Nunn, Shriver, Watkins, and DeLoach on the floor for VCU. Jones, Deaver, Nelson, Bonini, and also Yoder for Navy. The teardrop by Baldwin was missed, got his own miss. And here's Shriver. It's called for an offensive foul. Mike Rose wants a flop. Bill Covington said no, it's an offensive foul.
Mike Rhodes really wants a flop. And Bill Covington, who's been doing this a long time, says no, that was an offensive foul.
He's not even looking his way. Now he looked over there.
Well, no, he put his hand out and said that's enough. Bill just said enough to Mike, and Mike better cool it because he doesn't want to get teed up when his team's already down 11-2.
And you already said that was your second warning.
Yep. Bill Covington is not a quick whistle guy when it comes to technical fouls.
But if need be, he'll give you one.
Sometimes you got to do it.
Nelson leading the way for Navy with 5 early on. Here's Yoder for 3.
It was a good look, but it was a righty shooter going left. Always be aware of that. Righty shooters going left. Steph Curry can do that, but not a lot of guys
One
can.
of the few. Here's DeLoach. Nelson the rebound, and another foul on VCU. It looks like Watkins will get called for the foul, team's third.
Those are frustration fouls when you reach in 90 feet from the basket. You're not going to get the steal, but you're likely, if you're lucky, you get no call. I was talking to Ed DeChellis when he walked in the building, and he said, it's a very funny guy, he said, I hope they bring their A game tonight because they're going to need it. And then he said, isn't that what Custer said at Little Bighorn? And then he looked up and said, where did all those Indians come from?
Well, right now their game is working against VCU as they're leading by 9.
Yeah, they're waiting for the Indians to show up.
Deaver, as you mentioned, the team's assist leader.
That's a moving screen.
Yoder is called for it. I was going to talk about Deaver. It's very rare that a forward or a post player leads the team in assists, but he currently is almost at 4 assists a night, which is number 1 on the team.
Yeah, he's a very good passer. He has very good vision. He's also a very good pianist. He's a concert pianist, and when they finish their pregame meals, when they're at Alumni Hall, and sometimes even when they're in a hotel, he will sit down and just play for the guys for a while. They played at Lehigh earlier this year. They stayed in the old Lehigh Hotel, and after pregame meal, he went into the lobby where there was a piano, started playing, and Ed DeChellis said he looked up, and the whole lobby was packed with people singing along. That's talent.
No question.
Nice catch, nice finish.
Nick Kern with the layup. His first basket, and the lead is at 7.
Well, that's a foul. Yeah, you got to call that.
And that's Baldwin's second.
And that's huge. That's a huge call with 13:45 left in the half, and Ace goes right to the bench. He knew. You know, he's back after that fall he had on his left wrist, or hard foul, a couple games ago. And that's the good news. The bad news is he's still been limited in practice. And Mike Rhodes says, you know, when your best player is limited in practice, that's difficult. And they just don't want to risk him getting a hard knock or getting knocked down and hurt himself again. Both wrists are injured now. Right wrist has 2 screws in it from surgery.
He mentioned after the Radford game, he's not even at 80% at this point of the season.
But 80% of Ace Baldwin's probably better than anybody on the floor.
Mac McDonald, the collegiate graduate from here in Richmond, hits the 3 from the corner, and it's Navy's largest lead at 10.
Think he's got some family here?
He's got a few.
Yeah.
I believe his former high school head coach is here. Coach Harris is in attendance, and he just saw McDonald hit his first shot.
Good hands there, good deflection. We've talked about deflections and how they can mess up an offense. VCU will have to inbound now with 12 seconds on the clock.
This is a scrappy Navy ball club. Hands are flying around. and they're getting good shots offensively. This is a team that shoots nearly 50% from the field this season as Jackson misses his first shot.
Not a good shot by Jackson. Coming in cold off the bench and just jacking up a quick three. It's the kind of shot that Mike Rhodes doesn't really want to see. And there's a poor play by Navy.
Nick Kern losing it out of bounds.
Loses it. Turnover leads to turnover. It's the first mistake for Navy by their point guard, Austin Benini, but didn't cost him.
5 turnovers for VCU early on. Navy with 3.
And you know those 5 turnovers are making Mike Rhodes' hair gray.
Yep.
It's only 50. His hair shouldn't be gray yet.
Here comes the trap right here in front of us, and he threw it right to Zeb.
That's 2 turnovers in a row.
Here's Jackson to the rim.
And that time they finished.
And the basket and the foul.
Benini with a couple freshman mistakes that are going to happen. Good trap by the Rams near midcourt. He was trying to throw it off of Jackson, and he threw it right into his midsection.
And immediately Austin Inge, the junior from Greensboro, who missed their last game against Washington University.
I think they could get by that game.
I think so.
It's not the University of Washington.
No.
Just for the record.
Not out there in the Pac-12.
No. St. Louis. My first girlfriend went to Washington University.
Really?
Yeah. Became a veterinarian.
Jackson completes the 3-point play. Looks like maybe he's going to get back on track. He had been struggling offensively for a while. He only scored 4 in the win against Northern Illinois. It was 3 of his last 13 from the field.
Mike Rhodes made a very good point, I think, to me this morning about the fact that
McDonald again
2 in a row. That Zeb Jackson before this year had never played more than 18 minutes in a game. Not 18 minutes a game, 18 minutes in a game. And he's still adjusting to being a more important part of this rotation, having come from Michigan, of course. There's a good pass into the post.
Rams down by 10.
Good defense there.
DeLoach lost it in the air. Austin Inge now has it for Navy, who leads 17-7.
McDonald's confident.
Again.
He's feeling it. 3 in a row.
McDonald, a flamethrower here in this first half as he scored 9 on 3 3-pointers, and it's a 13-point Navy lead.
And Mike Rhodes wants to get to the TV timeout here, and now he's got it.
On a foul called against Navy, and that brings us to the under-12 media timeout. Mac McDonald with 9 to lead Navy as they're up by 13. And right now, Navy behind the hot shooting of one Mac McDonald, a collegiate grad from here in Richmond. 9 points on 3 of 3 from behind the arc. That's the same shooting he had against Washington University in their last game.
A little higher competition tonight, though.
9 points on 3 of 3 shooting in that game. He does that again here early on in F13.
He's made 6 threes in a row, that means. Against any competition, that's good. Tough shot there.
DeLoach wanted a foul, didn't get it. And DeLoach has 4 of VCU's 9. They trail by 11.
Mike Rhodes wanted a foul, too. Jalen DeLoach now has 2 of the 4 field goals for VCU.
Here's McDonald with DeLoach on him.
He's very confident, and he slipped and traveled.
Got called for steps.
Happens. I think that what we know about McDonald is catching and shooting is his game, not necessarily driving to the basket.
How about this? Before tonight, 12 of his 13 field goals, speaking of McDonald, were from behind the arc.
I'm not watching him play. I'm not at all shocked.
VCU down by 11, trying to start a run here as Brandon Johns is back in and uses the baby hook.
And notice that since the timeout, what is VCU doing? They're going to the post. They're going to get the ball inside and use their size. And remember, they don't have Ace Baldwin on the floor.
He has 2 fouls in the first half, and that's what Coach Rose has always said. If we go inside out, we will be effective.
Touch the paint.
Navy up by 9. Here's Inge. Offensive
nice
rebound to
rebound.
Nate Allison, who's in the ball game. And we've got a foul against Navy. And it looks like Allison, the senior from Fayetteville, Georgia, guilty of the foul.
Lost the ball going up and then reached. So it's an instinct with basketball players. You almost have to get it surgically removed. You make a mistake, you lose the ball, you say, I want it back. Understandable, but not the right thing to do.
Mac McDonald will come out along with Nate Allison. Christian Jones back in along with Yoder and Deaver and Nelson. Starting 5 for Navy. DeLoach again. Inside, now has 6.
Get the ball inside and ye shall succeed, VCU.
6-0 run for the Rams, and they're down by 7.
That's one thing you know, VCU's not going to panic.
There's DeLoach with a steal. Going right against Deaver. He'll get 2 free throws.
Neither is Navy, by the way. I mean, I don't think Ed DeChellis up 20-7 was thinking, oh, we've got the game in the bag. He was thinking, when's the run coming? Well, guess what? It's here.
And started by Jalen DeLoach, who now has 11 steals in his last 3+ games defensively.
That would lead the nation if you were doing it throughout the season.
Yeah.
With those long arms.
He scored in double figures in his last 4 games.
And that was an ugly free throw.
Averaging 12 points, shooting close to 55%, nearly 7 rebounds and 2 blocks along with those 3+ steals.
And this has been a good free throw shooting team this year, VCU. They get to the line and they've been effective shooting free throws. They have made more free throws than their opponents have shot, and that's a really good stat to have.
Top 5 in the nation in attempts and makes from the free throw line this year for VCU. It's a 7-0 run for the Rams. They're down by 6, coming up on 9.5 minutes in the first half. Nelson against Johns. Shot clock is at 10. Here is Yoder, right to the rim. DeLoach kept it alive, but right to Nelson.
Wow.
Actually, that was Watkins who kept that ball alive. And Nelson now with 7 for Navy.
Nelson's sort of everywhere on the court. Inside, outside, midside.
I mean, his numbers have been outstanding this year for the midshipmen. DeLoach down low again. He is having his way against Navy's defense inside. He's got 9.
And it's not so much his height as his quickness. He's such a quick jumper. Whoa, there's a turnover.
And Jackson picks it up. And Jackson will bring the thunder.
Ed DeChellis is going to take his use it or lose it now. He doesn't want this to get out of hand. The run is now 11-2.
And they're 5 for 5 from the field in that span.
Starting to create live ball turnovers, too. That's a high percentage shot.
22-18. Remember, the lead was as high as 13 for Navy early on, but right now it is only at 4. And it has started inside. You mentioned the paint touches.
Yep.
It's been DeLoach, it's been Brandon Johns, and then on the defense, the live ball turnovers.
Right, and that you put those 3 things together for VCU, and they're going to be very effective. And those are the things that really this program's built around: is defense, turnovers, getting the ball inside, offensive rebounds. They have not done that much of it tonight, but and that's a little surprising because Navy's in that zone, but they've had a tough time early on getting good shots, but in these last couple minutes, they've gotten such high percentage shots, there's no need for offensive rebound.
I mentioned to Coach Rose, I was wondering if you got DeLoach and Johns to play this effectively, which they have been doing the last 4 games. If you got that during conference play, how dangerous can this team be as Johns comes up with the block on Jones. Yoder gets the miss. Nelson shoots for 3, and DeLoach has the rebound.
And there you see the athletic difference between the 2 teams. Navy did a great job to break the press, got a layup, except somebody arrived late and blocked the shot. And that's something Navy has to live with all the time.
Inside to DeLoach, stripped away.
Oh,
and
that looked
fouled.
like a good steal, I gotta say. See it on the replay. Maybe I missed something. Maybe it was on the wrist.
Bonini got called for the foul, and that's his 2nd.
And that's a big foul because he'd just come back in to help against the press.
Let's watch it again.
See if we can see anything here. Here he comes from behind. I don't know. A lot of ball for sure.
That was close. DeLoach will get now a breather.
Mike Rhodes thought it was a good call.
Of course.
And DeChellis not so much.
We got to go back to that flop that he thought was a miss early in the game.
Now you got one back.
He said you got one back. David Shriver back in for VCU to replace DeLoach. And here's Shriver to the rim. Blocking foul plus the basket.
That's really not David Shriver's game. More of a three-point shooter, but he took the Navy defense by surprise there, got to the basket and was able to convert while being fouled. Watch, here comes Shriver off the ball screen, and you think he's going to pull up for a shot, but no, he goes to the basket and clearly got fouled that time.
So David Shriver, who he told me after the Radford game when that first three went down, he felt like a weight came off his shoulders.
Because what was he, 2 for 26
it was
there at that
like
point?
It was like 11 for 43 during the season.
And then a string even worse,
And then he hit 3 against Northern Illinois in the win. Looks like the confidence is coming back.
He's a solid player, and he's going to get better. Remember, playing at this level is different than playing in the America East.
Here comes the trap, and Watkins.
Yep.
A little too aggressive on Austin Inge. And that brings us to a timeout. VCU in the midst of a 7-0 run. They've made their last 7 shots to trail only by 1. VCU in the midst of a 14-2 run over the last 3.5 minutes to turn a 13-point deficit into a 1-point deficit, 22-21. Sean Robertson, John Feinstein, our entire Rams Unlimited crew here at the Siegel Center. Final non-conference game for both teams as conference play begins for VCU next week, next Saturday, as they take on LaSalle in the A-10 opener. Navy will open up in the Patriot League, I believe, also next Saturday as well.
Yes, actually it's Friday.
Next Friday?
Yeah, at Boston University.
Navy with the ball, 1-point lead. Deaver against Johns, who checked back in for VCU. Inge now has it against Nick Kern. 10 to shoot for Navy. Long 3 by Christian Jones.
I thought that might have gotten deflected.
And VCU has a chance to take the lead for the first time tonight.
All changed at the under-12 TV timeout. Mike Rhodes said to his players, let's get the ball inside, guys. Shriver's allowed to shoot. It didn't go in, but he's a three-point shooter.
Goes over the backboard.
But that's why Mike Rhodes wants the ball inside. In fact, he just looked at Shriver and said, look inside. And if it's not there, then shoot.
Navy in a scoreless drought of nearly 2.5 minutes. As Mac McDonald, who was hot for the midshipmen early on, he made his first 3 from behind the arc, and dating back to their last game against Washington University, has made 6 straight from behind the arc. Kern comes up with a deflection, but right to Yoder as he'll bring it up court.
Again, Navy's point guard is on the bench, and so is VCU's, Ace Baldwin,
who picked up 2 early fouls for the Rams.
2 quick ones.
Here's Deaver inside. Daniel Deaver averaging almost 10 points a night.
He plays in the high post as much as he plays in the low post. But that time he got a really good seal and gets the layup.
Deaver has 4 to give VCU a 3-point deficit.
Baldwin back in the game with his 2 fouls.
And Nunn hits a 3 to tie the game.
And instantly you see what Ace Baldwin can do. He gets some penetration. Defense has to respect that. And he finds Nunn open on the wing.
First tie since it was 0-0. Deaver with 4 going against Johns. McDonald
That's a tough shot off the dribble. See, he's a catch and shoot guy. He's not a dribble and shoot guy. Took a 20-footer there, went 22 feet.
Baldwin to Shriver.
Good look. Good look by Baldwin. Shriver could not finish.
Nelson brings down the rebound.
Shriver's got to be frustrated. He made that driving layup, but other than that, he's missed some good shots.
Deaver down low against Johns. Nice up fake again.
Wow.
It was short that time. That's at least twice he's put on a good footwork exhibition.
Thought he might have gotten fouled.
And Jaden Nunn hits another 3 for VCU as they have their first lead of the night.
Back-to-back threes by Nunn. Again, shooters are like that. If they feel it, they're going to shoot. Nunn feeling it now the way McDonald was feeling it early. There's a catch and shoot. See?
There it is again.
See the difference? Catch and shoot, he'll make it.
McDonald with an even dozen to give Navy the lead again by 3.
But he did miss a shot.
He did. But he's got 4 threes in this half.
He's probably played about 10, 11 minutes total. That's way off. No.
Baldwin from distance.
My eyes are going. I thought it was left.
We got ourselves a 3-point shootout here at the Siegel Center.
Yep, 3 straight threes for the Rams.
Tied at 30. Check it, 30-27, beg your pardon. VCU ahead. Offensive foul called on Austin Inge.
First one of the night for either team, except for moving screens.
My eyes was playing tricks on me there for a minute. I thought it was tied, but
your eyes were playing tricks on you. I called Baldwin's shot no good, and it goes in.
But it's a VCU 3-point lead as we're at 4.5 minutes in this first half. Jalen DeLoach back in for the Rams as Brandon Johns will get a breather.
This is how the 3-point shot has changed basketball. This is it was 20-7 with 11:35 to go. And 23-7 run in 7 minutes.
That pass was deflected. Shriver has it for VCU, 10 to shoot. Here's Kern.
It's a nice look again by Baldwin and a nice move putting it on the floor by Kern.
Kern now with 4. VCU has made 11 of their last 13 shots.
That's a high percentage.
And they're up by 5, largest lead for VCU tonight.
And most of those shots have been high percentage shots, although they made those 3 threes in a row.
Here's Dorsey. His teardropper was no good and out of bounds to VCU.
Dorsey's one of those guys Ed DeChellis is hoping to get more from as the season goes along, injured all last year.
Brings us to our final media timeout. VCU with a 5-point lead. VCU has turned it around after trailing by as many as 13. They now lead 32-27 over Navy. Sean Robertson along with John Feinstein. The story for Navy so far in the first half, the hot shooting of Mac McDonald, the collegiate graduate from here in Richmond. 12 points in the first half, 4 3-pointers for the midshipmen, but now trailing by 5 against VCU.
Well, and the key stat, remember you mentioned early on that VCU had 5 turnovers in the first few minutes. They've had 1 since then. And they're getting the ball inside. They're turning Navy over. Navy now has 7 total turnovers. And they've turned the game. They've made it downhill. VCU is playing downhill right now. And that's really tough when you're anybody, particularly a team without anybody on the roster who has any pro aspirations, because none of these guys are going to play pro ball. The only uniform they'll wear will be a Navy or Marine uniform.
Nice backdoor. Absolutely. Nick Kern again coming through. He's got 6.
He's really giving a boost off the bench.
That matches his season high that he scored against Northern Illinois in their game last week. 7-point Rams lead. DeLoach almost had another steal. Here's Deaver.
Nice fake by
and
Deaver.
1.
Nice fake. Once he got by DeLoach, he had the lane open. And the help came. He made a great ball fake. And that created enough space for him to make the layup and get fouled.
We see it again. Shows the ball fake. Kern gets there a half a second late.
Yep.
And a 3-point opportunity for Deaver, who has 6 points so far in the game.
That was a much-needed basket for Navy.
The senior from Fall Church, Virginia, just up the road. And the 3-point play good to bring the midshipmen to within 4.
He grew up in Falls Church. Another Navy grad named David Robinson grew up nearby in Fairfax.
He had an okay career in the NBA.
He was decent.
DeLoach with 9 for VCU. Here's Kern. Left Jackson open for 3. Kern an offensive rebound.
Long rebound there. That often leads to offensive boards.
Under 2.5 to go. Here's Kern. Another nice pass to Jackson, left open. He'll go baseline.
Good help there by Deaver coming over against the drive.
Navy could get to within one.
That's a walk.
Bonini has not been in his zone here in the game.
Got off to a nice start, and then a couple fouls and a couple turnovers really changed the game for him. And as we said, he's key because even though he's a little guy and he's a freshman, he's by far Navy's best point guard.
Making his second consecutive start for Navy, made his first one against Washington University last week. Johns and DeLoach bumped into each other, and DeLoach scores his 11th point off of the bump.
Well, the ball ended up in a good spot.
5 straight games in which DeLoach has scored in double figures. Lead is 6 for VCU as we're at 90 seconds here in the first half. Mac McDonald back in for the midshipmen. 10 to shoot for Navy. Here's Bonini. Tough layup that won't go. Deaver an offensive rebound. No. DeLoach the rebound for VCU.
Well, Bonini tried to go against Johns, who's about 9 inches taller than him, and the result was fairly predictable.
Coming up on 1 minute to go in the first half.
Because Johns is quick enough to stay with the guard.
Here's Johns
Nice
to DeLoach
pass.
inside, and a foul. It'll go against Nelson.
DeLoach frustrated, though, that he didn't finish and have a chance for a three-point play. Putting his hand up in the air saying, how do you miss that?
But that's the offense that Rose loves to see.
Interior passing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
From high post to low block.
To low block.
To low block. And as we mentioned with DeLoach, 5 straight games in which he has scored in double figures.
It's 2 ugly free throws, though, tonight.
Before this year, he was right around 40%.
Right.
Career. Came in shooting nearly 65%.
It's a huge improvement, but I think the key for him is putting his legs into his shot. When he gets the legs into the shot, he does well. When he doesn't, he's short. That time he got his legs into it.
Made 1 of 2. He's got an even dozen. That leads VCU. McDonald's 12 leads Navy, who trails by 7 with under a minute to go. Deaver has also played well for Navy with 7 here in the half.
Looking at high post, trying to get somebody open.
Here's Nelson.
Got an open shooter in the corner.
That's McDonald, who had his shot partially blocked.
He did.
Deaver got an offensive rebound with 2 to shoot.
Deaver smart enough to know he had to shoot it. And
Ball
now
volleyball around, and VCU has it. Shot clock off.
They can play for 1 if they want.
And it looks like they will hold it for 1.
Smart basketball. And we're not going to see a use it or lose it timeout here because both coaches have used them.
We got an official's timeout as DeLoach is
DeLoach
cramping
or
up, I think.
Watkins?
He was holding his lower right calf and ankle.
It is DeLoach, you're right. Of course you're right. I couldn't see.
So he'll come out. Ace Baldwin back in for the final 11.9 seconds.
Well, they're on offense, so they want their point guard out there. Less likely to get in trouble
and
on
DeLoach,
offense and defense.
DeLoach is going right to the dressing room.
Well, he might as well.
Get an early start.
Teammates will be there shortly.
Under 5. Here's Banks, gets it off. And that's how the first half will end.
That was good defense by Navy. That wasn't the shot VCU wanted.
Navy looked strong early, led 20-7 at one point. But VCU made 5 of their last 7 shots, held Navy scoreless in almost 3 minutes, and lead the midshipmen 37-30 at the break. We'll have halftime activities from the Siegel Center as you're watching Rams basketball on Masson and ESPN+. The Virginia Credit Union, home of the VCU Black and Gold MasterCard. Navy down by 7 to begin the second half. VCU a huge run from the midway point of the first half to the end has them up by 7. with Navy controlling the second half possession to start.
And Navy needs to get more shots for Tyler Nelson. He was 3 for 4 in the first half, but he needs to have the ball more. More touches, as they say.
And they go right to him to start the second half, and this first shot was too strong. An offensive rebound for the midshipmen.
Great minds think alike.
Yes, they do.
They're sort of mediocre minds.
Bonini's first shot of the half almost went on the tip by Watkins, and Deaver scores for the midshipmen.
That's a good possession for Navy because they got 3 cracks at it. Still in that zone.
Bonini's shot almost went in off of the hands of Watkins as both teams' starting fives are in. VCU leading by 5.
DeLoach moving around in the post, frustrated. He'd like the ball, but it's tough against that zone.
None for 3. And we've got a foul. They're going to call DeLoach going over the back of Deaver.
Frustrating possession there for Jalen DeLoach. He thought he had some space in the middle. He really didn't. And then he fouls going for the offensive rebound.
DeLoach in that first half, 12 points, 3 rebounds, a block, and a steal for Coach Rhodes.
He didn't bring us any water, though.
Or popcorn.
Or popcorn.
Here's Bonini. Yoder for 3.
He had a nice stroke on that and wasn't even close.
Out of bounds to VCU. Navy now 5 of 10 from three-point land. They came in averaging just over 40% from three-point distance this season.
And 40%'s become sort of the new Mendoza line for three-point shooting. It used to be when the shot first came in 1986, it was 33, but now it's gone way up because guys shoot it so much more and have gotten so much better at it.
Johns lost it out of bounds after the Baldwin miss. Mike Rhodes thought that was a hold on Navy. It was talking to Bill Covington about that.
He and Bill have had quite a few conversations tonight.
Just a little bit.
They don't need to have dinner after the game because they've already talked everything out.
No Christmas dinner?
I don't know about Christmas dinner.
They may chat about a few calls. 10 to shoot for Navy.
Navy's used to the shot clock being under 10. They probably won't panic. And they might not get a shot.
Yoder gets it off and buries the 3 in front of his bench.
Yep. With 1 second on the clock. And that's what I mean about Navy not panicking because they're used to the shot clock being under 10. It's not a big deal.
5-0 run to start for Navy in this half. They're down by 2. Here's Watkins. Ball goes out of bounds. VCU maintains it. Shriver now back in, and he will replace Brandon Johns, who will lead with just 2 points scored. He's attempted just 3 shots.
Mike Rhodes looking for some kind of offensive spark, and Shriver is certainly capable of giving it to him. 1 for 4 in the first half, but we all know he can make shots.
None was cut off by Yoder. Watkins to Shriver for 3.
Like I said, God, it's so nice to be right once in a while.
He's right near 30% this season from behind the arc, and this is a career 40% shooter from distance. And Bonini misses
gets
the
out of control too much. He's got that freshman problem of not understanding defenses here.
Here's Shriver. Pass was back to him. Watkins for 3. Jamir Watkins from downtown. His first basket of the game, and the lead back to 8 for VCU.
Watkins was very quiet in the first half and put timeout by Ed DeChellis.
He was scoreless in the first half. It only took 2 shots, but now VCU leads by 8 as we take a timeout here on the floor, and VCU up 43-35. VCU in the midst of a 6-0 run as they lead 43-35 over Navy. Got to within 2 in this half, but then VCU turned it up just a bit, John.
Yeah, back-to-back threes for the Rams, and it's amazing, as I said, about how important the three-point shot is in college basketball, how quickly it can change a game. Watkins made 1, the second one to get to. That's the biggest lead in the game for VCU at 8.
That was Watkins' first basket of the night. Christian Jones in now for Navy. Went off of the official.
That's going out of bounds.
It was, but it went off of the official, so it's still in play. Here's Deaver going to the rim, and he lost the ball. Shriver saved it to Baldwin.
Good play by Shriver because he didn't know if it was off Deaver or someone else. I think it was off Deaver.
DeLoach was calling for it, has it against Deaver. Wild shot, but a foul on Navy.
From behind.
That's going to go against Nelson. Looks like Nelson is getting a little frustrated. He started off strong early for Navy, but it's kind of gotten out of the offensive rhythm for the midshipmen.
Yeah, and as I said, there are certain times when your best player just has to touch the ball. Partly because he's your best player, and partly to keep him happy. Because he is used to touching the ball. He is used to scoring. Much better free throw there by DeLoach.
Now, granted, McDonald was hot early. He's hit 4 3-pointers, and the offense kind of went through him a little bit. But when you're coming in averaging almost 13 points a night, you got to get the touch offensively, as DeLoach looked good on both free throws.
Plus, he better than anybody else on this Navy team can get his own shot. He doesn't necessarily need a screen. He doesn't necessarily need a catch and shoot. He can put it on the floor and score better than any of the other guys.
DeLoach hit both free throws to give him 14, and VCU now up 10. Here's Deaver.
It's just a tough shot for him because of Watkins' quickness.
Navy thought DeLoach got him with the body, no whistle. VCU in the midst of an 8-0 run and looking to add to it. Shriver against Nelson with 10 to shoot. Here's Nunn. Rebound picked up by Nelson. Let's see if he gets aggressive here.
He's not a guy who forces things. I think he stepped on the out-of-bounds line. Yeah.
Yoder did.
Bad mistake there.
That brings us to our under 16 timeout. VCU by 10 here on Masson and on ESPN+. If you only knew what was going on here at the Siegel Center during timeouts.
It doesn't involve us.
It doesn't involve us, thank goodness.
Yes, exactly right.
They had a dance-off with the fans here at the Siegel Center. Some were good and some were...
I am in no position to critique dancing. Let's put it that way.
Well, they're enjoying the Christmas atmosphere, the festive atmosphere here at the Siegel Center.
And let's not forget, Friday is Festivus for the rest of us.
Yes, that's true.
Big holiday season.
Yes. VCU in the midst of an 8-0 run, and they're up by 10 over Navy, who at one point were down 37-35 in this half. Mac McDonald back in for Navy on this possession. Watkins, DeLoach, Shriver, Banks, and Baldwin for VCU. Under 10 to shoot. Nice look to Watkins underneath.
It was a good catch by Watkins because that was not the greatest of passes into traffic by Baldwin, and he draws a foul.
Baldwin with 4 assists here in the game. He had 6 in the win against Northern Illinois Saturday.
Remember, his minutes have been limited tonight because of the foul trouble in the first half. Did come back with those 2 fouls.
Had 2 fouls in in the first 2 minutes. Jamir Watkins at the line to shoot 2, averaging just over 10 points per night, coming off a career-high 22-point performance against Northern Illinois on Saturday.
Next game after a great game is always tough. It's like golf. You shoot 65, the next day is going to be tough.
Tonight's game is part of the Virginia's Finest Holiday Games. The iconic Virginia Finest blue and red check mark logo tells consumers these products are top quality Virginia produced and processed that meet or exceed quality standards developed by the Virginia Department of Agriculture. Stop by your local grocery store for these great tasting products that can be featured as gifts or at your holiday party. 2 made free throws by Watkins, who now has 4 in the game. Check it, 5 in the game.
Made that 3.
That is 47-35 VCU. Nelson for Navy. Hits the triple.
Smart, quick ball reversal there by McDonald. He said, I've got the ball. There's a defender on me. Why not get it to my best player?
Shoots over 48% from 3 and has Navy within 9. 10 for Navy's Tyler Nelson. Here's Watkins. Tough shot. Rebound goes to Nate Allison.
Good defense, too, by Navy.
Shriver guarding McDonald, who's hit 4 3-pointers in the first half. Here's Nelson. DeLoach the rebound.
Couldn't make 2 in a row there. That would have been big for the mids.
Josh Banks off the bench for VCU. Brandon Johns will come in on the next dead ball. Here's DeLoach. Pass to Shriver in the corner.
2 guys got to him before he could catch it. He didn't catch it clean. That's often the key, because you let the defense recover and get to you.
Bonini against Baldwin. Allison. McDonald got Shriver in the air. Here's Allison. Had it partially blocked, it looked like, by Shriver.
And that's VCU's quickness defensively.
VCU has not made a basket in almost 4 minutes, but still lead by 9.
That was a
Tough
nice
pass,
catch there by Shriver.
Here's Banks for 3. Oh, called glass.
Did he call it?
He called it.
He called it, okay.
He called it.
As long as he called it, I'm fine.
Banks shoots 40% from behind the arc this season. Now his 11th made 3-pointer. Lead is at 12 for VCU. Here's Nelson attacking the offensive end against Shriver, who got the rebound for VCU.
VCU knows they've got to defend Nelson at all times. They can't give him easy shots. If he makes tough shots, that's fine. Good
Watkins with his own miss.
It's funny because Watkins shot the ball in such a way that it went to the weak side, and he was waiting there on the weak side.
Watkins with 7 now, and it's a 14-point VCU lead. Stolen by Watkins.
Oh, that's something. I think we're going to see a block here.
Bonini's going to get called for the foul. That brings us to our under 12 media timeout. Jamir Watkins has 7 for VCU, who are up by 14. A look inside of VCU's huddle as they lead by 14 over Navy, 52-38. Sean Robertson, John Feinstein, our entire Rams Unlimited crew. Final non-conference game for both teams as they will open up A-10 and Patriot League play next week, right after Christmas.
And particularly in the Patriot League, which is a 1-bid league, that regular season matters because it determines home court for the conference tournament. And obviously you want to play at home, although I guess it was 6 years ago now, Holy Cross was the 9th seed and won 4 games on the road. And I remember Bill Carmody was the coach, longtime coach at Princeton and Northwestern. And the first question after they'd won the championship, this miracle, he said, it's going to put so much pressure on us for next year. If that isn't a coach's answer, I don't know what is.
Patriot League, one of those few conferences that actually are played on the top seed or the highest seed home court in the tournament.
They play home court all the way.
Right. I mean, as far as the championship game,
yeah.
The championship game is at the home court of the higher seed.
And Navy played at Colgate last year in the championship game. Won 20 games on the season, finished 2nd in the league, and then lost to Colgate, which has become the dominant team in the Patriot League in the last 5 years. Matt Langle's done a great job there. I don't know why he hasn't been hired somewhere.
Under 4 to shoot for Brandon Johns, who misses the 3. Rebound by Jones of Navy. Patrick Dorsey comes in for the first time in this half for Navy. He misses on his 3. Zeb Jackson and the Rams looking to run, and they get a blocking foul.
I think that's a good call. There was definitely movement going on there, even though he was faced up. I think Kellen Minor got that right.
Austin Inge called for his 3rd foul. 4th team foul on the midshipmen here in this half. VCU has only committed 1 team foul after halftime. Trying to get it off before the 5-second count. They just got it in.
In the old days, that might have been a 5-second call because you had to have somebody touch it within 5 seconds. Now you just have to get it out of the inbounder's hands.
Baldwin with a step back.
That's a tough shot.
McDonald the rebound for Navy.
Tough being a euphemism for not very good.
Austin Inge along with McDonald, Dorsey, Deaver, who now has it, and Christian Jones.
Good ball movement there by the mids. Good defense by the Rams.
Inge on the 3. And Nick Kern, who's played well tonight for VCU, has a rebound.
He really gave VCU a boost off the bench when they were struggling at the start of the game.
VCU 15-3 run in nearly 7 minutes to lead by 14. Here's Jackson.
Nice move there.
Now it's a 17-3 run.
Dorsey didn't want to foul, so Jackson went right by him. A little Matador defense there.
He's got 7, speaking of Zeb Jackson. 16-point lead for VCU after trailing by as many as 13 in this game.
Good defense there by Johns. Kept his hands up straight.
Pass deflected by McDonald. They look inside to Kern. Nice up fake, and Deaver got called for the foul, and Navy's bench was irate on the non-call on their offensive end and just as upset on that foul on Deaver.
Not a happy crew over there right now. Down 16. And about to go maybe to 18.
We mentioned Kern playing very well for VCU off the bench. He's got 6 points tonight. Back in his high school days was the Missouri Class 4 Player of the Year.
Most of these guys, particularly from VCU, but even from Navy, were some kind of Player of the Year when they were in high school.
1 or 2 for Kern. Told me he wore the number 24 in tribute to Kobe Bryant.
Nice.
He's been wearing that number since middle school.
So when Kobe was still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's nice.
17-point VCU lead inside 9.5 minutes. And the way Navy runs their offense, that's a tough.
Nice backdoor cut there
By Tyler Nelson. I was going to say that's a tough mountain to climb, but they got 2 back on Nelson's bucket.
Yeah, but your point is still well taken. That was the first assist of the night for Deaver.
Banks on the 3 as it goes over the backboard out of bounds.
I don't think he called that.
He didn't call that one, but he did call the last one he made.
The bank from the side.
55-40, VCU up by 15 as Jamir Watkins back in to replace Josh Banks.
One of the things you might notice or might not notice watching, oh, there's a bad pass right at his feet.
Jackson with the loose ball. Ball off of DeLoach's knee. Good deflection by Navy, and they come up with the steal.
Yeah, nice hands there by Deaver. By Dorsey.
Backdoor cut to Nelson.
2 in a row. 2 good passes. That's the thing with Navy. They're not going to panic. They're not going to give up. They're going to hang in as best they possibly can. They're going to do their thing. They're still in the zone. They're not trying to rush things because they know that that'll just lead to layups or dunks.
It's going to be a tough out in the Patriot League against anybody for Navy. Watkins underneath.
I think the Patriot League doesn't have a dominant team this year, at least based on non-conference play, and Navy can play with anybody, I think.
9 for Watkins to push the lead back to 15. Here's Inge for 3. Shot an air ball.
Sure did.
And that brings us to our under 8 media timeout. VCU leading by 15 here on Masson and on ESPN+. Happy holidays, everyone, from the Siegel Center. We got 7:46 left in the game, and VCU looks like they will go into the Christmas break with the win. That will be their 4th in a row as they lead 15 on Navy. Sean Robertson, John Feinstein, and our entire Rams Unlimited crew bringing you season greetings from the Siegel Center. And it could be a good start going into Christmas for the Rams if they can hold on to this win.
And as we discussed in early in the game, both these teams are going on break after tonight, and so they want to walk away and go see their families with a good feeling inside, coming off a win. For the Rams, it'd be 4 in a row.
Nelson claimed the Baldwin miss. He's got 14 to lead the way for Navy. Working against Shriver. Here's Deaver against DeLoach.
I was going to say that's not going to work out well for Deaver, and then it did.
Got his own miss on the block by DeLoach.
Got the shot blocked, and it came right back to him.
He's got 11. He's the 3rd Navy player in double figures tonight, and they're down 13. Baldwin staring at that zone. Here's DeLoach underneath. 16 for DeLoach. That matches his career high. And VCU back in front by 15.
Whenever VCU goes back to getting the ball inside, they usually have success, don't they? There's another deflection. That one by DeLoach.
Rams looking to increase their lead, which is at 15. DeLoach is the 3rd time this season he has met 16 points. Watkins, Shriver an offensive rebound, and got his baby hook to fall.
Alert play by Shriver, getting that shot off the back rim.
8 for Shriver, and it's a 17-point Rams lead.
And I don't even feel, I don't know about you, Sean, I don't feel like Navy's played poorly.
They really haven't.
No, they've just been outplayed by a better team.
You can see the athleticism by VCU at points in the game. Bonini got his own miss, and they say a foul is going to be on VCU.
Bonini's throwing up some wild shots around the basket. That time he was able to get his own because he missed by so much. Get fouled, but he got fouled on the floor. That's only the 2nd foul on VCU this half.
Jaden Nunn's first.
By the way, we talked about Ed DeChellis and what a great job he's done here at Navy. One of the keys for him has been Emmett Davis, who's his #1 assistant, who's been a coach in the Patriot League for 27 years. He was a Don DeVoe assistant at Navy. He was head coach at Colgate, and now he's an assistant coach at Navy again.
And he just saw Nelson hit another 3 to give him 17.
He's played a key role in the turnaround that Ed DeChellis has been able to write. They were 20-70 his first 3 years, and since then 135-13.
Watkins draws the foul and gets the basket. That's going to be on Deaver.
Not sure what Navy kids were clapping about.
Bonini thought that was all ball, from what I gathered.
That's what you're right, but that's what Bonini was saying.
Yeah.
But even if it was, the shot went in.
Looked like he got some wrist as well.
Yeah.
Watkins has gotten back into the flow. All 11 points scored in this half for the redshirt sophomore out of Trenton, New Jersey.
Bonini will learn as he goes that once that whistle blows, the call's not getting changed. Next play.
12 for Watkins, coming off a career-high 22 against Northern Illinois.
He was scoreless in the first half.
Yeah. 17-point Rams lead as we're coming up on money time here in half number 2.
The money may already be spent. That was a walk. He got away with it.
Here's Deaver underneath, and he draws a foul. McDonald gave up a wide-open mid-range shot for a tough backdoor pass, and Deaver now gets 2 free throws on it.
But McDonald is not as effective putting it on the floor in the middle game as he is catching and shooting from the three-point line. And he knows that. He understands that, to his credit.
Deaver, the team's leading rebounder and assist maker.
And leading pianist.
and leading pianist, as he missed the first free throw. He also is a Patriot League Academic Honor Roll member last season.
He hasn't done much.
Not at all.
No. Doesn't have a very bright future, does he?
1 out of 2 for Deaver with 13. They said he passes well out of the post, but we had not seen that aspect of his game tonight against VCU.
Aggressive offensively, trying to score.
And he's shown that. He's shown he can do that.
Yes,
Back to the basket, facing the basket, comes up with the steal there as DeLoach hit the floor.
Good double team there that led to the steal.
Quick passing to Nelson.
Nelson was turned a little bit sideways when he shot that ball.
Got his own miss on the deflection by McDonald.
That's why you try to keep the ball alive for teammates.
Bonini, tough move to the basket on none.
Finally got a shot on balance, not off balance.
Even Bill Covington looked at us and he's in amazement on that play there.
Yeah.
That was a big time move there.
It was with the left hand.
Yeah. That brings us to our under 4 media timeout with VCU leading by 14 here on Masson and ESPN Plus. .359 left. That's how much time remains for VCU to hold on and win their 4th straight going into their A-10 opener. Navy has put up a game fight here so far, as they had led at one point by 13 in this game. They led by 20-7, but VCU has turned it around and has gotten back into the flow and are up 14.
I'd say more than gotten back into the flow. They created the flow. With their defense, but also with running their offense so much better after that first 8.5 minutes.
And they made that big run in the first half with Ace Baldwin on the bench. He had 2 early fouls. And he's at the free throw line and missed the front end of a 1-and-1.
Well, you know what? It's a good news, bad news thing. Because Ace has been hurt, playing without him is not unfamiliar. And they don't panic and say, oh my God, Ace isn't on the floor, what do? They just say, okay, we dig in and we play.
Missed 5 games this year with the wrist injuries.
And he'll get better and better as he can practice more.
Another deflection. Bonini now has it. Nice feed inside the Deaver.
Nice
and
defense
DeLoach
there.
Comes up with another block. Under 3.5 to go for VCU as they're up by 14. Schreiber gave it a thought.
No need to rush now.
Nope. Schreiber will shoot it.
Still hasn't found that rhythm that you know is there based on his past.
Bonini's pass deflected and Baldwin saved it. Up ahead to Watkins. And got called for attack.
Hanging on the rim.
And didn't need it.
Mike Rhodes saying why. And that's a very good point. Why? Just dunk the ball. The dunk says all you need to say.
And this is our Virginia Credit Union assists of the game. The pass from Baldwin to Nunn to Watkins. With every VCU assist, Virginia Credit Union makes a donation to the Children's Hospital of Richmond at VCU.
The good news for Mike Rhodes is it gives him something to talk about tomorrow. Okay, that was not a smart play. That was a good play, but not a smart play. And it didn't cost him.
Missed free throw by Navy on that tech. That was only their 6th free throw attempt tonight. Speaking of Navy, VCU was 10 of 14.
Well, we talked about that before the game, that Navy just doesn't get to the line. And they did a little bit early, and then it just stopped. To take out the tech, they've only been to the line 5 times.
McDonald stepped out of bounds. I was talking to Brandon Rozelle and Rodney Ashby, who is the color analyst for the Ram Unlimited Network, and he was talking about a lot of the guys stepping on the sidelines when they do the step back move.
Right.
And it was like,
which is why they shouldn't be stepping back to start with, because most college players can't make step backs. You see it on occasion, everybody goes, ooh, ah, but then the next 5 are missed.
and we saw McDonald trying to create that space with the step back, and he stepped out of bounds to turn it over.
I can't prove it, but if he hadn't stepped out of bounds, I don't think he'd have made the shot. You need to step into your shots most of the time. Nice pass,
indeed. 6, now 7 assists for Ace Baldwin, as Zeb Jackson adds another point to his ledger. And that's an 18-point lead for VCU.
Nice pass there.
And out of bounds, that's turnover number 17.
Except it didn't get caught. Reminds me, I've told you this before, but Red Auerbach used to tell Bob Cousy, I don't care how you pass the ball, behind your head, between your legs, standing on your head, but if the pass doesn't get there, regardless, I'm going to get mad at you. I'm blaming you. Even if you hit the guy in the chest and he drops it.
And Navy doesn't turn the ball over a lot.
They don't.
But 17 is going to be a lot.
Yeah, and that's too many. You know, we said before the game that Navy could not afford turnovers, particularly live ball turnovers.
And they had a few of those tonight as well.
They had a few of those, especially when VCU got going in the first half.
Shot clock is at 5 for DeLoach against Deaver. Tip in is going to be credited to DeLoach, who just achieved a new career high with 18. McDonald gave up the 3 and took it right to the rim for his 14th point.
What's that, his second 2 of the season, I think?
Yes, just 2 of now 8 from the field in 2-point territory.
That was a nice move, though. It showed that he can grow his game. He's just a freshman.
Here's Watkins. And DeLoach races down the rebound.
You can see the Navy players are just gassed at this point.
And there's Watkins with the finish. 16 for Watkins, all in this half. And a 20-point advantage as we're inside a half minute.
And this score's deceptive. Navy played better than that.
Deaver misses on the 3. Got his own miss on the play by Nelson. Tip no good. Shriver has it.
They're gassed.
With under
they can't
10.
even make a layup.
And now up ahead to Watkins, who will finish.
I would have liked to have seen Watkins just catch that ball and throw it back out, but it doesn't matter.
And that will put the cherry on top on a VCU 22-point win.
Mike Rhodes is apologizing for the last basket. He's saying that's on me. And Ed DeChellis understands. Kids
and
are
he
kids.
pointed back at him. And
That's what he said.
That's on
It's on me.
74-52 the final. Back to wrap it up here at the Siegel Center on Masson and on ESPN+.